Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's parent webinar. This is our last one for 2023, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. I'm Johan van Lille, and I'm the coordinator of the Kiro Learner Support Unit. Tonight, we're going to talk about the fear of failure. So let's first look at what it is. It's a complex emotion triggered by anticipation of failure and a negative evaluation of one's self-worth, often linked with perfectionism and a fixed mindset. The persistent fear of not meeting personal or societal standards. So what are the characteristics? Avoidance is a very one you get very often, evading situations where failure is a possibility. Procrastination we get often, delaying or putting off tasks due to the fear of not performing well in them. And then anxiety, an excessive worry about potential failure, even in everyday tasks. So how do you distinguish from fear of avoidance, fear of failure from distinguishing from nervousness or anxiety? So let's look at general nervousness. It's a temporary feeling of tension or worry and are typically associated with specific events. And then it's less intense and doesn't significantly disrupt one's ability to take action. And then we also get general anxiety. It's a broader, more general state of apprehension, and it's not always linked to a specific outcome or event, and can be persistent and not necessarily linked to the idea of failure. And then fear of failure is specifically related to the dread of failing and the implications of that failure. And this can lead to a cycle of negative self-talk and avoidance behavior that hinders growth and learning. So let's look at what are the root causes. Understanding the origin, the fear of failure often stems from multiple sources and is influenced by the individual's experiences and environmental factors. So overly high expectations are one of the causes. When achievement are consistently met with a demand for more, children may develop a fear of not being able to meet these escalating standards. Criticism and negative feedback, harsh or frequent criticism instead of constructive feedback can make children fear failure as they're associated with disappointment and disapproval. And then comparison with their peers or other siblings. Regular comparison with siblings or peers, whether in academic or extracurricular activities, can instill a fear of not measuring up. And then also pressure, media and social comparisons, portrayals of success without showing the effort and failures behind it can create unrealistic benchmarks for success, and specifically referring to social media. And then cultural expectations, certain cultural narratives around success and failure can contribute to a child's fear of not fulfilling those specific roles or achievements. And then parental influence, projection of personal fears. Parents may unknowingly project their own fears and anxieties about failure onto their children. And then children might perceive that parental love and attention are contingent on their success and achievements. So let's look at the signs and symptoms of fear of failure in children. There are a reluctance to try new things, hesitation, or outright refusal to engage in activities where there's a risk of failing. And then using negative self-talk or downplaying their abilities, exhibiting stress-related physical symptoms such as stomach aches, headaches, or deep disturbances when facing challenging tasks. And there's also this cause of worrying about their performance, preoccupation with thoughts of underperforming or disappointing others, striving for flawless performance and being very self-critical when standards are not met, and putting off tasks or avoiding them altogether due to a fear of failure. So there's this normal appreciation where temporary worry or nervousness before a new challenging task occurs. So typically resolves once a task is underway or completed. Deeper issues is when persistent and pervasive anxiety that doesn't subside with reassurance or completion of task. And when it starts to interfere with day-to-day functioning and enjoyment of life. So what are the impacts on the development? Let's first look at the emotional and psychological effects. Fear of failure can significantly lower a child's belief in their own abilities, making them question their skills and values. Children may begin to see themselves primarily through the lens of their failures rather than their successes. A child's willingness to engage in new or challenging tasks may diminish, leading to missed opportunities for learning and growth. And constant fear can prevent children from taking the necessary risks that are natural part of learning. And then long-term psychological impact, a lot of anxiety disorders, chronic fear of failure can contribute to the development of anxiety disorders, including social anxiety and generalized anxiety disorder. Long-term avoidance can lead to a cycle of fear and failure that becomes increasingly difficult to break. And repeated experiences of fear and perceived failure can lead to feelings of hopelessness and depression. And the fear of failure can extend beyond personal feelings, impacting academic performance and social interactions. And this can lead to a reluctance to participate in school activities or social events, further isolating the child. Let's look at the educational implications. Fear of failure can inhibit a child's natural curiosity and willingness to explore new concepts, leading to a passive learning stance. May cause children to shy away from asking questions or participating in discussions for fear of being wrong. And children with a high fear of failure may exhibit avoidance behavior in class, such as not volunteering for activities or being overly quiet. And alternately, some may become disruptive as a way to deflect attention from their fear of failing tasks. A fear of failure can result in a decline in grades, not because the child lacks the ability, but due to the fear of attempting and failing. And then stress and anxiety linked to this fear can also impair memory and concentration, further impacting academic success. And a reduced willingness to engage with new challenges can limit a child's exposure to diverse learning experiences and hinder the development of a well-rounded skill set. And avoidance of risk-taking in learning can stifle creativity and critical thinking. So at this point, it's important to look at the work of Carol Dweck. I think it's very important to talk about fixed mindsets versus growth mindsets. So she is a renowned psychologist, has made significant contributions to the understanding of failure and success in educational context through her concept of the growth mindset. And her work emphasizes that intelligence and talents are not fixed traits, but can be developed through dedication and hard work. So viewing the failure as a reflection of innate ability, but as an opportunity for growth and learning, and encouraging the child to persist, put in effort, and employ strategies to improve. Praising the process the child engages us in, their effort and their persistence rather than the outcome. And teaching that the brain can grow and intelligence can be developed can change how children perceive challenges, and they begin to see them as ways to grow rather than insurmountable obstacles. And promoting the understanding that effort leads to mastery and that setbacks are a natural part of the learning process. So by embracing a growth mindset, parents and educators can really help children learn resilience in the face of failure, and viewing it as a stepping stone to success rather than a persistent state. So how do you apply Carol Dweck's growth mindset principles in practical ways? Use growth-orientated language with your child. Replace statements like "you're so smart" with "you worked really hard on this." This focuses on effort rather than innate ability. Embrace challenges. Encourage your children to take on tasks that are slightly beyond their current skill level to promote learning and growth. And when your child fails, stress the importance of persistence and trying different strategies. Praise the process and effort and not just the outcome. Make it clear that you value hard work and learning, which are within everyone's control. And teach your children to view feedback as a source of information rather than as a personal attack, and show them how to use constructive criticism to improve. Acknowledge and celebrate improvement and growth in skills over time, no matter how small. and demonstrate a growth mindset in your own life. Share your challenges and how you are working to overcome them. And then also from Carol Dweck is the power of not there yet. Sorry about that typo. The concept of not there yet is a key aspect of Carol Dweck's growth mindset theory. It refers to the understanding that while a child may not have mastered a skill or achieved a goal at the present moment, they are on a journey of growth and development. So by using the phrase not there yet, it implies that learning and skill acquisition are processes that take time and effort, and that with persistence and resilience, the learner can eventually achieve their objectives. And this mindset encourages ongoing effort and learning as opposed to a fixed mindset which might view current inability or failure as a permanent state. And the phrase is both a recognition of the current state and an optimistic outlook towards future improvement. I also like this book of Ruth Sokop. I recently read it, although it's been around for quite a while. And she called it Do It Scared. So, and it's finding the courage to face your fears, overcome adversity, and create a life you love. And it's a valuable resource for parents to help their children overcome fear and develop courage. So what I like about this book is that she talked a lot about the different fear archetypes that children often align with, such as the procrastinator, the people pleaser, or the pessimist. I'm going to talk through all of them just now. So this understanding can personalize strategies to tackle their specific fears and also for you to help them. And then teaching children principles such as dare to think big, always own it, and just keep going can also inspire them to face challenges head on. And these principles encourage taking responsibility for one's action and seeing mistakes as learning opportunities. And then encourage children to find their way can help them understand their motivations and build resilience. Additionally, teaching them to avoid unhealthy comparisons with others can foster self-acceptance and individuality. I would really recommend you to get a copy of this and to read it. It will really help you. So let's look at the different fear archetypes. The first one is the procrastinator, also referred to as the perfectionist. This archetype often fears making mistakes, and they may procrastinate or avoid tasks due to a desire for perfection. Now, a tip here, encourage your child to focus on the process rather than the outcome. Help them to understand that mistakes are a valuable part of learning and growth, and set realistic goals and break tasks into smaller, manageable steps for them to reduce for being so overwhelmed. And then the fear archetype of the rule follower is another one. This type fears stepping outside the lines and often struggles with strict adherence to rules or established ways of doing things. So teach your child the value of thinking critically and questioning norms when appropriate. Encourage creative problem solving and help them understand that it's okay to deviate from the rule book sometimes, especially in the service of learning and growth. And then the people pleaser is another fear archetype. This archetype avoids the risk of letting others down. Their fear is often tied to approval and acceptance. Build your child's self-esteem and help them understand their self-worth isn't tied to others' opinions. Teach them to set healthy boundaries and to say no, and encourage them to pursue activities they genuinely enjoy rather than just activities that please others. And then the outcast is another fear archetype. Often the outcast fears rejection and will reject others before they can be rejected themselves. And they might be seen as rebels or non-conformists. Foster open communication, encourage your child to express their feelings, help them build social skills and self-confidence, and reassure them of their value and your unconditional love, regardless of their achievements or conformity. And then the self-doubter is another fear archetype plagued with feelings of inadequacy. The self-doubter is often critical of themselves and fears not being capable. Encourage positive self-talk and build their confidence through small achievable goals. Celebrate their efforts and successes. Offer consistent support and remind them of their strengths and past achievements. And then the excuse maker is another fear archetype. The archetype avoids taking responsibility for their actions, often due to a fear of failure or a fear of making mistakes. A tip here for parents: teach responsibility and accountability, help them understand the consequences of their actions and the importance of owning up to mistakes, and encourage them to take small risks in a supportive environment. And then the pessimist is another fear archetype, often affected by past hurts and disappointments, leading them to fear future pain and then try to avoid things. Help your child to process past negative experiences and offer emotional support. Teach them coping mechanisms and resilience, and encourage optimism by highlighting potential positive outcomes and opportunities in challenging situations. Another book that's also worth a read is The 10 Times Rule by Grant Cardone. He made quite interesting notes here that I would like to share with you. The first one is take decisive action, encourage children to be proactive and put in the effort required to achieve their goals. And then instill in children the belief that they have a moral obligation to reach their full potential, and help children understand that average efforts often lead to average results, and encourage them to aim for excellence. Motivate children to take every opportunity to further their goals, even if it's uncomfortable, and teach children to view problems as opportunities for growth. Encourage children to define and review their goals regularly, adjusting necessary. And then also, while efforts is important, help children focus on achieving tangible results. If children fall short of their goals, encourage them to increase their effort rather than lowering their standards. And impress upon children their success is their own responsibility, and encourage them to adopt these principles actively. So how do you talk to your child about failure? The first thing I think that's important is to normalize mistakes. Let your children know that everyone makes mistakes and that they are a natural part of the learning process. Encourage your children to take risks and try new things, give them control over things, emphasizing that perfection is not the goal, but growth and learning are. And then help your children articulate how they feel about their mistakes and failures, fostering healthy emotional processing when it happens. And then work with your children to find solutions to avoid repeating the same mistakes, which promotes critical thinking and personal responsibility. It's important for us to demonstrate how to handle failure positively in our own actions. Because when I make a mistake, when you make a mistake, discuss it openly with your children and show what you've learned from it. And then praise the effort your child put into their endeavors rather than just the end result. This can help them value the process and maintain motivation. And then encourage children to persist in the face of challenges, teaching them that grit and determination are key to overcoming obstacles. And teach your children that it's okay to be imperfect and that striving for perfection is unrealistic and unnecessary. And guide children to the positive side of failures, when they can learn and how they can improve. And then instill a belief in the power of yet, helping children understand that their abilities can develop over time with practice and hard work. And then also encourage children to engage in positive self-talk, reinforcing their ability to learn from their experiences and to improve. And help your children build a support system of family, friends, and mentors who can offer encouragement and advice. I always like to use these words like failure as a guide. So when failure happens, what do you do? So let's look at all these letters. The F is for frame the situation. Start by framing the failure as a normal and acceptable part of learning and growing. Explain that everyone, even adults, experience setbacks. Then the A of failure is all about acknowledge feeling. Recognize and validate your child's feelings of disappointment, frustration, or sadness. It's important for them to know that their emotions are heard and understood. The I of failure is all about lessons. Encourage your child to reflect on what can be learned from the situation. Ask questions like, what do you do? What do you think went wrong? And what could be done differently next time? And then the L of failure stands for look forward. Help your child to shift focus from what has happened to what can be done next. and developing a forward-thinking approach can turn a negative experience into a stepping stone for further endeavors. And then the U of failure stands for uplift with support. Offer your support and let them know you're there for them. This can mean providing help with problem solving, offering encouragement, or just being there to listen. And then the R is for resilience. Work on building resilience by setting new goals and encouraging your child to try again. Remind them of past successes and their ability to overcome obstacles. And then the last E in failure is engage in action. And finally, help your child taking actionable steps towards their new goals, whether it's practicing a skill, seeking additional help, or trying a different strategy. Active engagement can help overcome the fear associated with past failures. So using the word failure is a nice framework when you start talking to your child when any failure happens. If you don't like the word failure, you can also use the word growth for that conversation when failure happens. The G stands for guide towards understanding. Help your child to see failures as a learning experience. Guide them to understand that growth often comes through overcoming challenges. And then the R of growth stands for recognize emotions. Acknowledge your child's emotions about their failure. Let them express their disappointment and frustration, showing that it's okay to feel this way, and help your child to find the correct emotion to describe their frustration and their feelings. The O of growth stands for open a dialogue. Have an open conversation of what happened, look at the facts, discuss what worked, what didn't, and why it is important. It's such an important part of the learning process. The W in growth stands for wisdom from experience. Encourage your child to extract wisdom from their experience and what can they learn, how can this inform their future attempts. And then the T in growth, again, try again with adjustments. Help your child to plan how they can try again with a different approach using the insights they gain from their experience. And then lastly, the H of growth, hold on to support. Reassure your child that you're there for their support. Offer encouragement and assistance as they prepare to tackle the challenge again. So it's very important to know when there's a failure, what not to say. And I'm going to list about 10 of them. I'm disappointed in you, because this can make a child feel they are valued only when they experience success. You're not good at this. This reinforces a fixed mindset, suggesting their abilities are unchangeable. You always make mistakes. Generalizations like this can make children feel like failures and that failures are a defining characteristic. You should have done it like this. This may prevent children from learning to think and problem solving independently. It's not that hard. This minimizes their feelings and discourages them from sharing their struggles. I told you so, and this can come across as blaming and doesn't provide constructive support. Just give up on it. It's too hard. This discourages perseverance and resilience. You let me down. This can create a sense of guilt and a belief that they are responsible for adult emotions. And don't be sad, don't be angry. That's only invalidating their feelings and can lead to emotional suppression. And then it doesn't matter. While intended to comfort, this can diminish the importance of their efforts and experiences. So what do we say? What are the best way when they experience failure? How do we respond as adults? What can we say? You can say things like, it's okay to fail. What's important is what you learn from it. This reinforces that failure is a part of learning and growth. I'm proud of you for trying. Acknowledging their efforts regardless of the outcome encourages persistence. And then, what did this experience teach you? Promotes reflection and learning from mistakes. You haven't figured it out yet, and that's okay. The word yet implies the potential for future success. Let's figure out a different approach together, because this offers support and teaches problem-solving strategy. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of success. Helps them to reframe failure as a stepping stone and not a setback. What can I do to help you? Shows empathy and support, making them feel less alone. Remember when you struggled with and what the skill is, and then you improved. So it reminds them of past resilience and growth. You're learning and growing, and that's what counts. Shift the focus from results to the process of learning. I love you. I love how you don't give up. Praises their determination and grit. So we have two choices. Sometimes we say, I am so proud of you, versus you can be so proud of yourself. Let's look into these two statements. So I prefer to tell children, you can be so proud about yourself, because telling children you can be so proud of yourself focuses on their internal sense of achievement rather than seeking external validation like, I am so proud of you. It helps them to develop their own standards and satisfaction from their accomplishments. And then it also fosters independence to tell them you can be so proud about yourself. This phrase supports the development of a child's autonomy in judging their own efforts and successes. It helps children learn to trust their own assessment and feel confident in their own abilities. If you say you can be so proud about this, about yourself, it promotes their self-esteem. When children are told they should be proud of themselves, it reinforces their sense of self-worth and accomplishment independent of others' opinions. And consistently telling children, I am proud of you, might make them overly dependent on external validation for their self-esteem and satisfaction. Encouraging them to be proud of themselves helps to mitigate this risk. And then encourage children to recognize and feel proud in their own achievements contributes to healthy emotional development, and it helps them to understand and process the emotions related to success and failure. Talking to a child in a situation where they failed and you both know they didn't put in their best effort. How do you handle this situation? Start with empathy. Begin the conversation by acknowledging their feelings. This could be disappointment, frustration, or indifference. Show that you understand and care about how they're feeling, regardless of the outcome. Instead of starting with criticism or expressing your disappointment, try to understand their perspective. Ask open-ended questions to encourage them to talk about what happened. For example, can you tell me more about what you were finding challenging? And then gently bring up the observation that they might not have put in their best effort. Frame it in a way that you don't accuse them, but that it's more something that you observe. Such as, I noticed this time it seemed like you weren't as engaged with this task. What do you think? And then there may be underlying reasons for their lack of effort. It could be a lack of interest, which is valid, and feeling overwhelmed, or maybe not understanding the task, or even external distractions. So ask questions to uncover these reasons so that both of you have a better understanding. And then discuss how effort is often more important than the outcome. Emphasize that it's okay to fail when you've tried your best, but it's also important to give things a fair shot. And then together come up with a plan for future similar situations. Discuss what strategies they could use to motivate themselves, manage time better, or understand the material more effectively. Let them know you're there to support them. You're not there to do the work for them, because you can help them with organization, finding resources, or just being someone they can talk to about the challenge, but you're not there to do it for them. Encourage them to reflect on what they could do differently next time. Reflection is a key part of learning from experiences and growing. And then always end conversations like this on a positive note. Reinforce your love and support for them regardless of their performance, and make sure they know that you care and the esteem for them are not contingent on their success. So how do you handle the dynamic where you as a parent are consistently successful, but your child faces more challenges or failures? I think it's important that you recognize that each individual has their unique journey, including challenges and strengths. Emphasize to your child that success is not a one-size-fits-all and can look different for everyone. Shift the emphasis from outcomes to the effort put in, and praise your child for their hard work, determination, and resilience regardless of the results. And demonstrate that despite your successes, you are still learning and growing. Share your own past challenges and failures and what you learned from them. And refrain from comparing your child's performance with yours or with others. Celebrate their individual achievements and progress. And then be there for your child emotionally, listen to their concerns and frustrations without judgment, and offer comfort and understanding. And then encourage a growth mindset, as we discussed earlier, by highlighting that abilities and skills can be developed through effort and persistence, and encourage them to see challenges as opportunities for growth. And then assist your child in setting achievable goals and making step-by-step plans to reach them. Celebrate the small milestones along the way. And then share stories of people with varied paths to success, including those who overcame numerous setbacks, and provide guidance on how they can improve, focusing on specific actionable advice. And make sure your feedback is given in a supportive and positive manner. And make sure your child knows that your love and acceptance are not based on their achievements or successes. So how do you navigate a situation where one sibling is a high performer and the other one is an underperformer who really, as a rule, experience failure a lot? Refrain from making direct comparisons between your children, even in your own mind. Recognize and celebrate each child's individual strengths and achievements, no matter how big or small. And then encourage each child to pursue their own interests and passions rather than following in the footsteps of their sibling. This helps to build their self-esteem and sense of identity. Then ensure that both children receive equal amounts of praise and attention from you, and this can help prevent feelings of resentment or inadequacy. Provide each child with the support and resources they need to succeed, which may look different for each one. The high performer may need challenges to keep them engaged, while the underperformer may need more encouragement or help in certain areas. Encourage a growth mindset in both children. Teach them that effort and learning from mistakes are key to success rather than innate talent or intelligence. And then open communication, foster an environment where both children feel comfortable discussing their feelings. This can help address any issues of jealousy or competition early on. And praise the effort and hard work your children put into their activities, not just their successes or achievements. Help each child set their own achievable goals based on their abilities and interests, and celebrate when these goals are reached. Demonstrate how to handle successes and setbacks in your own life, and show them that everyone has strengths and weaknesses and that it's okay to be different. And then be very careful not to label your children like the smart one, the athletic one, the sporty one, as this can pigeonhole them into specific roles and create pressure or resentment. To end off, just two quotes. Failure should be our teacher, not our undertaker. Failure is delay, not defeat. It's a temporary detour, not a dead end. Failure is something we can avoid only by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing. And this was said by Dennis Waitley, a very well-known motivational speaker in books such as Seeds of Greatness and The Winner's Edge. And then this quote of Henry Ford is so well known: the only real mistake is the one from which we learn nothing. That's it for this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found this useful and interesting. I just need to get back to this. Yeah. So I hope you find it interesting. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to type the questions in the Q&A. I would love to try and answer it. So you are more than welcome, if you have any questions, to put it in here in the Q&A section of this webinar. If you would like this, a copy of this PowerPoint deck, I can make it available to you. You can just write me an email at johanv Johan V, JOHANV @kiro.co.za, or you can ask your school to request it from me, and then I will make sure you get a copy of this. If there are no questions, I think that's it for this evening. This is the last parent webinar for this year. We will start next year again, so I hope you're going to join us then again. Thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. I hope it was fruitful and interesting to you. And then we'll meet up again next year. From me, Johan van Lille, have a wonderful evening and goodbye.